Good afternoon, learners. My name is Atrey Sinha. I am Academic Officer English, National Institute of Open Schooling. Today we will read the lesson India, Her Past and Future, a speech by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, which is included in our Senior Secondary English course 302. Before starting the lesson, we must look into the learning outcomes that are supposed to be obtained after completing this lesson. First, the learner will read and understand a speech in English. They will learn to use antonyms. They will learn to use the correct form of verbs. We can write summaries and give directions after completing this lesson. So let's start the lesson. To endeavor to understand and describe the India of today would be the task of a brave man. To describe tomorrow's India would verge on rashness. What is India? That is a question which has come back again and again to my mind. So here the opening lines of the speech conveys the complexity of understanding India in the present, caution against predicting its future with certainty, and express an ongoing quest to define the essence of India, posing a challenging intellectual endeavor. And so he is writing, or in his speech he is included, to endeavor to understand and describe the India of today would be the task of a brave man. So according to Nehru, comprehending and depicting the current state of India is considered a challenging task, and it requires courage, and it implies that India's complexities and dynamics make it a formidable subject for analysis. Then he says, to describe tomorrow's India would verge on rashness. So it says that attempting to predict the future of India is risky and may be seen as imprudent. The uncertainty and unpredictable nature of future developments in the country make such descriptions potentially reckless. Then Nehru asks, what is India? That is a question which has come back again and again to my mind. Here Nehru arises a persistent curiosity for or contemplation about the essence of India. Pandit Nehru is grappling with the fundamental question of defining or understanding the unique identity, unique quality and character of the nation India. Then the speech goes on like that. The early beginnings of our history filled me with wonder. It was the past of a virile and vigorous race with a questioning spirit and an urge for free inquiry. And even in its earliest known period, giving evidence of a mature and tolerant civilization. So these lines by Nehru convey a profound admiration for the early stages of the Indian history, portraying it as a time characterized by the strength of the people, a curious and questioning mindset, and the presence of a mature and tolerant civilization. So Nehru felt a sense of awe or admiration for the initial phase of historical background of India. Filled me with wonder conveys a deep fascination and implies that there is something remarkable or extraordinary about the early history that being discussed. So it was the past of a virile and vigorous race with a questioning spirit and an urge for free inquiry. So the historical period is belonging to a robust and energetic community. The terms virile and vigorous, that they emphasize strength and vitality. Then he says that questioning spirit and urge for free inquiry, they indicate a culture characterized by curiosity, intellectual exploration, and a desire for knowledge from the part of the Indian. Even in its earliest known period, giving evidence of a mature and tolerant civilization. So, from the very beginning, the historical era in question displayed signs of a development and open-minded society. And the word matured implies a level of sophistication, and a tolerant civilization suggests an acceptance of diversity and different ideas. Then Nehru says, accepting life and its joys and burdens, it was ever searching for the ultimate and the universal. So Nehru depicts a community or mindset that embraces the entirety of life, acknowledging both its joys and burdens, and simultaneously there is a constant and enduring pursuit of understanding the profound and universal aspects of existence and reflecting a deep philosophical or introspective approach to life. Accepting life and its joys and burdens, as Nehru has says, it suggests that the community or subject being discussed has a mindset of embracing life in its entirety, including both positive and challenging aspects. And it conveys an attitude of resilience and acknowledgement of the various experiences that life presents, encompassing both happiness and difficulties. It was ever searching for the ultimate and the universal. Here the statement implies a continuous quest for fundamental truths and universal principles. The ever searching phrase, this phrase ever searching, suggests an ongoing persistent pursuit, indicating a desire to understand deeper meaning and uncover overarching principles that apply universally. Then the next paragraph, gradually deterioration set in. Thought lost its freshness and became stale, and the vitality and exuberance of youth gave place to crabbed age. Instead of spirit of adventure, there came lifeless routine, and the broad, exciting vision of the world was combined and confined and lost in caste divisions, narrow social customs, and ceremonials. So, the gradual decline took place, marked by the loss of intellectual freshness. The transformation from youthful exuberance to a crabbed age, a shift from adventurous spirit to lifeless routine, and the confinement of a once broad vision within societal divisions and customs. And the use of the word gradually suggests that this process was not sudden but occurred over time. So, thought lost its freshness and became stale. This statement here conveys a decline in the quality of thinking or intellectual vitality, and it also suggests a lack of originality or innovation, as if ideas become stagnant and uninteresting. And the vitality and exuberance of youth gave place to crabbed age. This part of the sentence describes a transformation from a state of youthful energy and enthusiasm to a condition characterized by the phrase crabbed age. Crabbed implies a charred, irritable, or difficult state associated with aging, and it suggests a loss of the vigor and exuberance associated with youth. So, instead of spirit of adventure, there came lifeless routine, and the broad and exciting vision of the world was cabined and confined and lost in caste divisions, narrow social customs, and ceremonials. This line contrasts the previous spirit of adventure with a monotonous and dull routine. It suggests a shift from a dynamic and adventurous approach to a life toward a more predictable and somewhat lifeless existence. And it describes how the once expansive and exciting worldview becomes so restricted and confined, so limited it becomes, And the terms cabined and confined implies that limitation and restrictions. Again, caste divisions, narrow social customs and ceremonials, these all suggest that societal structures and traditions played a role in restricting the broader vision of the world. Then the prose goes on like that. Even so, India was vital enough to absorb the mass of people that flowed into her mighty ocean of humanity, and she never quite forgot the thoughts that had stirred in the days of her youthful vigor. So, through this statement, Nehru portrays India as a resilient and absorptive entity able to accommodate a large population influx, and highlights the enduring influence of past thought and ideals on the country's collective consciousness. Despite the described changes or challenges, India remained dynamic and robust enough to assimilate a large influx of people. The imagery of mighty ocean of humanity conveys India's vast and diverse population. And she never quite forgot the thoughts that had stirred in the days of her youthful vigor. Here the statement implies a continuity of certain ideas or philosophies from the past. And the use of never quite forgot suggests a lingering influence and indicating that India retained to some extent the thoughts and ideals that were prominent during its period of youthful vigor. Then Nehru goes on to say, subsequently, India was powerfully influenced by the coming of Islam and Muslim invasions. Western colonial powers followed, bringing a new type of domination and new colonialism, and at the same time, the impact of fresh ideas and the industrial civilization that was growing up in Europe. So, this paragraph outlines significant historical phases in India, first marked by the influence of Islam and Muslim invasions, followed by the impact of Western colonial powers, bringing a different form of domination. Simultaneously, there was exposure to fresh ideas and the industrial civilization emerging in Europe. And these historical shifts played a crucial role in shaping India's cultural, political, and economic landscape. So he says, subsequently, India was powerfully influenced by the coming of Islam and Muslim invasions. And this line indicates a historical period when Islam and Muslim invasions had a significant impact on India. And it suggests a notable influence on various aspects of Indian society, including culture, governance, and possibly religion as well. Western colonial powers followed, bringing a new type of domination and a new colonialism. And this is very important. Here the statement refers to a subsequent phase where Western colonial powers, likely European nations, exerted control over India. And the use of the phrase new type of domination and new colonialism imply a distinct form of influence or rule that differed from the earlier Islamic impact. And at the same time, the impact of fresh ideas and the industrial civilization that was growing up in Europe. This part highlights a concurrent influence and the introduction of new ideas and the bourgeois industrial civilization from Europe. And this suggests a time when India was exposed to novel concepts and advancements arising from the industrial revolution in Europe. Then Nehru goes on to say, this period culminated after a long struggle in independence, and now we face the future with all its burden of the past upon us and the confused dreams and steerings of the future that we seek to build. Nehru reflects on a historical journey that culminated in independence after a prolonged struggle, and it underscores the enduring impact of the past on the present and acknowledges the complexity and uncertain aspirations associated with building the future. And this is a historical period characterized by a prolonged struggle that ultimately led to the attainment of independence. And it suggests a challenging and arduous journey toward freedom. Then he says, and now we face the future with all this burden of the past upon us. And this line emphasizes the present situation, indicating that despite achieving independence, there is a lingering impact of the past. The term burden of the past suggests that historical experiences, both positive and challenging, and continue to shape the present, and the confused dreams and steerings of the future that we seek to build. That statement acknowledges a certain level of uncertainty or complexity in envisioning and constructing the future. And the use of confused dreams suggests that aspirations for the future may not be entirely clear or straightforward. And steering of the future implies a sense of anticipation and change as well. Then Nehru says, in the tumult and confusion of our time, we stand facing both ways, forward to the future and backwards to the past, being pulled in both directions. How can we resolve this conflict and evolve a structure for living which fulfills our material needs and at the same time sustains our mind and spirit? So, in the tumult and confusion of our time, this phrase sets the stage by describing the current period as tumultuous and confusing, indicating a time of significant change, uncertainty, or upheaval. We stand facing both ways, forward to the future and backward to the past, being pulled in both directions. Here the statement highlights a dual perspective. The use of facing both ways suggests a tension between looking ahead to the future and looking back to the past. The notion of being pulled in both directions implies conflicting forces, possibly tradition and progress, influencing the current state. Then he writes, how can we resolve this conflict and evolve a structure for living which fulfills our material needs and at the same time sustains our mind and spirit? This question addresses the central challenge. It seeks a resolution to the conflict between past and future orientations, aiming for a harmonious structure for living. And the emphasis on fulfilling material needs while sustaining the mind and spirit suggests a holistic approach to well-being. And here Nehru paints a picture of a turbulent and confusing era where there's a struggle between past and future influences occurs and present very, very confidently and very prominently. And the question at the end invites contemplation on how to reconcile these conflicting forces and establish a balanced way of living that addressed both material and spiritual needs. Then Nehru goes on, what new ideals or old ideals, varied and adapted to the new world, can we place before our world, and how can we galvanize the people into wakefulness and action? Nehru invites to consider both new and adapted traditional ideals, present them to the community and strategize effective ways to awaken and motivate the people into action within the context of the contemporary world. What new ideals or old ideals, varied and adapted to the new world? It prompts a reflection on whether to embrace innovative contemporary ideals or reinterpret traditional ones to align with the demands of the modern world. It suggests a need for a thoughtful blend that acknowledges both continuity and adaptation. Can we place before our people? This phrase emphasizes the role of leadership or society in presenting these ideals and implies a proactive stance in introducing or reintroducing values that can guide and inspire the community. And how can we galvanize the people into wakefulness and action? This statement concludes by posing a critical question about the methodology of instilling a sense of awareness and mobilizing the community towards action. Galvanize suggests the need for a forceful and dynamic approach to awaken people and encourage them to take initiative. Then Nehru says, change is essential, but continuity is also necessary. The future has to be built on the foundations laid in the past and in the present. To deny the past and break with it completely is to uproot ourselves and sapless dry up. So Nehru advocates for a balanced approach that acknowledges the need for change but underscores the importance of continuity. He emphasizes that cutting ties with the past entirely can lead to a sense of disconnection and a loss of essential vitality in navigating the future. Change is essential, but continuity is also necessary. This line expresses the dual importance of change and continuity. It acknowledges the necessity of adapting to new circumstances while recognizing the value of preserving certain elements from the past. The future has to be built on the foundations laid in the past and in the present. So the future is constructed on the groundwork established in both the past and the present, and it suggests a continuum where each era contributes to the foundation upon which the future is built. To deny the past and break with it completely is to uproot ourselves and sapless dry up. So Nehru warns against rejecting the past entirely. The use of to uproot ourselves implies a loss of connection to one's roots, and sapless dry up conveys the idea that without the nourishment of history, there's a risk of becoming lifeless or devoid of vitality. Then Nehru says, it was the virtue of Gandhiji to keep his feet firmly planted in the rich traditions of our race and our soil, and at the same time to function on the revolutionary plane. Above all, he laid stress on truth and peaceful means. Thus, he built on old foundations and at the same time oriented the structure towards the future. Through this passage, Nehru portrays Mahatma Gandhi as a leader who skillfully blended tradition and innovation, drawing from the rich cultural heritage while embracing revolutionary approaches. His emphasis on truth and non-violence served as guiding principles for building a future-oriented structure grounded in old foundations. It was the virtue of Gandhiji to keep his feet firmly planted in the rich traditions of our race and our soil. This line emphasizes Gandhiji's rootedness in the cultural and traditional aspects of Indian society. It suggests that he drew strength and inspiration from the historical and cultural heritage of the nation, and at the same time to function on the revolutionary plane. He acknowledges Gandhiji's ability to operate in a revolutionary and transformative manner despite his deep connection to tradition. This implies a dynamic and innovative approach to addressing contemporary challenges. Above all, he laid stress on truth and peaceful means. And Nehru underscores two core principles that define Gandhiji's philosophy. Number one is truth, and number two is peaceful means, that is, non-violent methods. It highlights his commitment to ethical values and peaceful strategies in bringing about change. And thus he built on old foundations and at the same time oriented the structure towards the future. And the statement concludes by summarizing Gandhiji's approach. Gandhiji built upon the established foundations of tradition while simultaneously directing his efforts toward shaping a future that aligned with his vision. We will read on the next sections of this text, but before that, let's take a short break.
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय शिक्षा संस्थान NIOS शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार के अंतर्गत एक स्वायत्त संस्थान है। NIOS माध्यमिक व उच्चतर माध्यमिक स्तर पर समावेशी और लचीली शिक्षा व व्यावसायिक प्रशिक्षण प्रदान करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। भारत सरकार कौशल विकास से आत्मनिर्भरता को बढ़ावा दे रही है। स्कूली स्तर पर आवश्यकता आधारित व्यावसायिक पाठ्यक्रमों से युवा कुशल होकर निजी व्यवसाय और सेवाओं में जा रहे हैं। NIOS कृषि, पशुपालन, सौंदर्य, इंजीनियरिंग, ICT, योग, आयुर्वेद, प्राकृतिक चिकित्सा, गृह विज्ञान, सिलाई कढ़ाई क्षेत्रों में 100 से भी अधिक व्यावसायिक पाठ्यक्रम संचालित कर रहा है। NIOS अपने अध्ययन केंद्रों यानी AVI के माध्यम से इन पाठ्यक्रमों का संचालन, प्रायोगिक प्रशिक्षण व व्यक्तिगत संपर्क कार्यक्रम यानी PCP का आयोजन करता है। राष्ट्रीय व्यावसायिक शिक्षा एवं प्रशिक्षण परिषद NCVET एक राष्ट्रीय नियामक है। यह प्रशिक्षण प्रणालियों के विकास, गुणात्मक सुधार और विनियमन के लिए जिम्मेदार संस्था है, जो विभिन्न संस्थाओं व मूल्यांकन एजेंसियों को मान्यता प्रदान करता है। रोजगार क्षमता में सुधार व त्वरित विकास के लिए NIOS ने NCVET के साथ हाल ही में एक समझौता ज्ञापन हस्ताक्षरित किया है। अब NIOS के NCVET स्वीकृत पाठ्यक्रमों को दोहरी मान्यता मिलेगी व शिक्षार्थियों को उन्नत प्रमाणन प्राप्त होगा। इससे शिक्षार्थियों में व्यावसायिक पाठ्यक्रमों के प्रति लोकप्रियता बढ़ेगी एवं स्वीकार्यता का विकास होगा। कम शुल्क और दोहरी मान्यता वाले इन पाठ्यक्रमों में प्लम्बिंग सेक्टर से जुड़े ड्रिंकिंग वाटर प्यूरिफायर टेक्नीशियन कोर्स के साथ NIOS ने प्रशिक्षण कार्यक्रम का संचालन प्रारंभ कर दिया है। भविष्य में अन्य पाठ्यक्रमों को इसी क्रम में विकसित कर NIOS आत्मनिर्भर भारत के निर्माण में अपना योगदान देगा। निश्चित ही इससे शिक्षार्थियों को रोजगार व स्वाभिमान मिलेगा। ऊर्जावान युवाओं, NIOS के व्यावसायिक प्रशिक्षण कार्यक्रमों से आज ही जुड़िए। अधिक जानकारी व प्रवेश के लिए लॉग इन करें www.nios.ac.in।
भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था में कृषि सबसे महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र है। जनगणना 2011 के अनुसार ये अनुमान है कि 12 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोग किसानों के रूप में और लगभग 11 करोड़ कृषि कार्यों से जुड़े हैं। इसके अलावा ये भी अनुमान लगाया गया है कि कृषि उद्योग लगभग 21.5 लाख लोगों को रोजगार देता है। अतः NIOS कृषि शिक्षा पर केंद्रित पाठ्यक्रमों द्वारा रोजगार उन्मुख व्यवसायिक शिक्षा और प्रशिक्षण की आवश्यकता की पूर्ति करता है। NIOS कृषि और पशुपालन के प्रमुख क्षेत्रों में कुल 9 आवश्यकता आधारित व्यवसायिक पाठ्यक्रम संचालित करता है। ये व्यवसायिक पाठ्यक्रम दैनिक जीवन से जुड़े हैं और कृषि क्षेत्र में कार्य करने वाले व्यक्तियों के लिए नई दिशा प्रदान करते हैं। ये पाठ्यक्रम 6 माही, 1 वर्षीय एवं 2 वर्षीय हैं। मशरूम उत्पादन, वर्मी कंपोस्टिंग, मधुमक्खी पालन, धान उत्पादन, कुक्कुट पालन एवं बांस उत्पादन 6 माही पाठ्यक्रम है। फूलों की खेती और परिदृश्य बागवानी एवं डेयरी संचालन नए 6 माही पाठ्यक्रम है। पादप सुरक्षा एवं मृदा एवं उर्वरक प्रबंधन 1 वर्षीय पाठ्यक्रम है और मूलभूत ग्रामीण प्रौद्योगिकी में डिप्लोमा 2 वर्षीय पाठ्यक्रम है। NIOS ने कृषि और पशुपालन में माध्यमिक स्तर पर व्यवसायिक शिक्षा शुरू की है, जिसमें शिक्षार्थी 3 पाठ्यक्रम मधुमक्खी पालन, कुक्कुट पालन और धान की खेती के साथ 2 शैक्षणिक विषयों का संयोजन कर माध्यमिक प्रमाण पत्र अर्जित कर सकते हैं। NIOS पाठ्यक्रमों को करने के उपरांत शिक्षार्थी को विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में रोजगार के नए अवसर मिलते हैं। इन पाठ्यक्रमों को करने के उपरांत शिक्षार्थी कृषि या संबद्ध उद्योगों में उद्यमी बन सकते हैं, मधुमक्खी पालन फार्म में काम कर सकते हैं या स्वतंत्र रूप से मधुमक्खी पालन का काम कर सकते हैं, पोल्ट्री फार्म संबंधित कार्य कर सकते हैं, मशरूम की खेती का काम कर सकते हैं, जैविक खेती का काम कर सकते हैं और कृमि खाद बनाने का भी काम कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा वे कृषि और पॉली हाउस व पशुपालन इकाइयों जैसे पोल्ट्री, डेयरी, खेती इत्यादि में पर्यवेक्षक के रूप में भी काम कर सकते हैं। हमारे लक्ष्य समूहों में प्रत्येक ग्रामीण, शहरी युवा, युवतियां, महिलाएं एवं हर आयु वर्ग के लोग हैं, जो कृषि और संबद्ध सेवाओं में अपना भविष्य बनाने की इच्छा रखते हैं। NIOS के कृषि पाठ्यक्रम के निर्देश का माध्यम हिंदी और अंग्रेजी भाषा है। क्षेत्रीय मांग के अनुसार हम किताबों को क्षेत्रीय भाषा में अनुवाद भी करते हैं। NIOS के व्यवसायिक पाठ्यक्रमों में प्रवेश साल भर खुला रहता है। प्रवेश पूर्णतः ऑनलाइन है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए आप लॉगिन कर सकते हैं www.voc.nios.ac.in पर। मान्यता प्राप्त करने के लिए संस्थाओं से आवेदन आमंत्रित किए जाते हैं। मान्यता प्रक्रिया, मानदंड और शुल्क आदि की जानकारी के लिए आप स्क्रीन पर लिखे हुए लिंक पर विजिट करें।
Welcome back, learners. We were reading a speech by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru titled as India, Her Past and Future. Let's continue. The text goes on like that. Living is a continual adjustment to changing conditions. The rapidity of technological change in the last half century has made the necessity of social change greater than ever, and there is a continual maladjustment. So, Nehru underscores the perpetual need for adjustment in a response to changing conditions, particularly emphasizing the amplified necessity for social change in the face of rapid technological advancements. And the continual maladjustment suggests an ongoing challenge in keeping societal structures in harmony with the pace of technological change. Living is a continual adjustment to changing conditions. This line encapsulates the idea that life is an ongoing process of adapting to evolving circumstances. It emphasizes the dynamic nature of existence and the constant need for individuals and societies to adjust. The rapidity of technological change in the last half century has made the necessity of social change greater than ever. Here the statement highlights the significant impact of technological advancements over the past 50 years. And it suggests that the speed at which technology has evolved has increased the urgency for corresponding social change to keep the pace. And there is a continual maladjustment. This part indicates that due to the swift pace of technological change, there is a persistent state of maladjustment. This implies a struggle to effectively align societal structures and norms with the rapidly evolving technological landscapes. Then Nehru says, the advance of science and technology makes it definitely possible to solve most of the economic problems of the world, and in particular to provide the primary necessities of life to everyone all over the world. The methods adopted will have to depend upon the background and cultural development of a country or a community. In the line, the advancement of science and technology makes it definitely possible to solve most of the economic problems of the world. He expresses optimism about the transformative capabilities of scientific and technological progress. It suggests that advancements in these fields have the potential to offer solutions to a majority of the world's economic challenges, and in particular to provide the primary necessities of life to everyone all over the world. The statement specifies a key aspects of the potential impact and the ability to ensure basic necessities for everyone globally. And this implies an optimistic view that technological progress can contribute to addressing issues related to poverty and access to fundamental needs. Then there is a crucial consideration. The methods adopted will have to depend upon the background and cultural development of a country or a community. The strategies and approaches to implementing technological solutions must be tailored to a specific cultural and developmental context of each country or community. And Nehru asserts the transformative potential of science and technology in addressing global economic challenges and providing essential needs. However, he underscores the necessity of adapting methods and based on the diverse cultural and developmental backgrounds of different countries and communities. Then Nehru says, India today presents a very mixed picture of hope and anguish, of remarkable advances and at the same time of inertia, of a new spirit and also the dead hand of the past, and of privileges, of an overall and growing unity and many disruptive tendencies. Withal, there is a great vitality and ferment in people's minds and activities. So Nehru here paints a multifaceted picture of India, hope and anguish both, progress and inertia, new spirit and historical influences, unity and disruptive tendencies. He recognizes the vibrancy and dynamism in the minds and activities of the people despite the complex challenges and contradictions within the nation. India today presents a very mixed picture of hope and anguish. This suggests that the current situation in India is characterized by a blend of optimistic prospects, that is hope, and distress of anxiety, that is anguish, and it reflects the diverse range of experiences and emotions within the country, of remarkable advances and at the same time of inertia, of a new spirit, and also the dead hand of the past and of privileges. So he contrasts notable progress, remarkable advances with a sense of stagnation or lack of movement, that is expressed by the word inertia. Highlights the coexistence of a fresh, innovative mindset, new spirit features, alongside persistent traditional influences and entrenched privileges, of an overall and growing unity and many disruptive tendencies. Here he points to a dual dynamic within the nation and an overarching trend of unity and cohesion, overall and growing unity, which is accompanied by many disruptive tendencies, that is various elements that contribute to disruption or instability. Withal, there is a great vitality and ferment in people's minds and activities. Nehru acknowledging here the presence of significant energy and excitement, which is great vitality among the population, suggesting a lively and dynamic atmosphere characterized by active engagement and enthusiasm, which is expressed by the word ferment in both thought and action. Then Nehru says, it is a remarkable thing that a country and a people rooted in this remote past, who have shown so much resistance to change in the past, should now be marching forward rapidly and with resolute steps. The statement emphasizes the notable and unexpected nature of country or people with deep historical roots, experiencing rapid progress and determined forward movement, especially considering past tendencies of resistance to change. Nehru acknowledges the deep historical roots of the country in question, highlighting a connection to a distant past. The use of the word remarkable suggests that what follows is unexpected and surprising given this historical context. He further recognizes a historical trend of resistance to change. It implies that in the past, the country or people mentioned tended to be hesitant or reluctant when it came to embracing new ideas or transformations. Then he highlights a significant shift, should now be marching forward rapidly and with resolute steps. Despite historical resistance to change, the country or people are now described as moving forward swiftly and decisively. The phrase with resolute steps suggests a determined and purposeful advancement. Then Nehru says, what will emerge from the labor and the tumults of the present generation? I cannot say what tomorrow's India will be like. I can only express my hope and wishes. So the last paragraph of this speech opens reflecting a sense of curiosity about the future, an acknowledgement of the difficulty in predicting it, and an expression of positive hope and wishes for what might emerge from the current generation's effort and challenges. What will emerge from the labor and tumults of the present generation? This is a question about the outcomes that will result from the efforts and upheaval of the current generation. It suggests a curiosity about the consequences of the ongoing struggles and activities. I cannot say what tomorrow's India will be like. I can only express my hope and wishes. First, Nehru expresses uncertainty about the specific future characteristics of India, acknowledges the limitations in predicting the detailed outcomes of or the precise nature of the country in the days to come. Then he implies a positive outlook and a desire for favorable development in the future, even if the specifics remain uncertain. Then finally, I want India to advance on the material plane, to fulfill her 5 years plans to raise the standard of living of her vast population. I want the narrow conflicts of today in the name of religion or caste, language or province to cease, and a classless and casteless society to be built up where every individual has full opportunity to grow according to his worth and ability. Here Nehru reflects a comprehensive vision for India's future, encompassing material progress, social harmony by overcoming divisive conflicts and the establishment of a society that promotes equal opportunities for personal growth based on merit and ability. He expresses a desire for India's progress on the material front, particularly through the successful execution of 5-year plans. It highlights a specific goal of improving the standard of living for the extensive population. Next, he addresses social issues, expressing a wish for the cessation of divisive conflicts based on factors such as religion, caste, language, or province, and implies a vision of unity and harmony. Finally, outlines a broader vision for societal transformation, calling for the creation of a classless and casteless society, and it emphasizes the importance of providing equal opportunities for every individual to grow based on their merit and capabilities. In particular, Nehru says, in particular, I hope that the curse of caste will be ended, for there is neither democracy nor socialism on the basis of caste. The concluding line of Nehru expresses a specific and strong hope for the eradication of the caste system, emphasizing the incompatibility of caste-based divisions with democratic and socialist principles. It singles out the issue of the caste system, referring to it as a curse, and it reflects a strong desire for the elimination of caste-based discrimination and hierarchy. And the statement provides a rationale for the hope by highlighting the incompatibility of the caste system with principles of democracy and socialism. And it implies that a society divided by caste impedes the ideals of equality and social justice. That's about the text, that is India, her past and future. We'll move on to the grammar section. First, we will see the difference, the comparison between simple present tense and the present continuous tense. Let's read these two lines highlighted in green color. The train is never late, it always leaves on time. And the second sentence is, the train is running late today. In the first sentence, it is saying a general truths and habits, a routine. The train is never late. It always leaves on time. It is the habit of the train to be the punctual, to follow the punctuality. It always leaves on time. In the second sentence, the train is running late today. So it is only for this day, only for this time that this train is running late. So in the first sentence, which is telling the habits, is presented in the simple present tense, and in the second sentence, it is the occasion of for the time being. So it is presented in the present continuous tense. So simple present tense is used for general truths, habits and routines, and present continuous tense is used for actions occurring at the moment or around the present time. Next, we will discuss the simple past tense and present perfect tense. I bought an old book yesterday. So this action is completed in the past. In the second line, it is said, I have found my book under the mat. And it emphasizes a connection between the past actions and the present moment. So when we are saying some actions, when we are indicating some actions that have completed in the past, we will use simple past tense. And when we have to make a connection between the past actions and the present moment, we will use the present perfect tense. Then we have summary writing. What is summary? It is the shortened form of a text, and it requires selection of what is important and rejections of what is not. And important points are presented in a logical order in the form of a paragraph or paragraphs in this summary. And facts are stated in a straightforward, direct style without any ornamentation or examples. So these are some key points that we have to keep in our mind while we are attempting to write a summary. So that's all about the lesson India, Her Past and Future. We will again meet with a new lesson on our next day. Thank you.